Dr Harcz, great to see you again.
Thank you for the opportunity again.
Yeah, so I think we last spoke more than a month ago now, mid-March.
Maybe. Yeah.
And we were talking about project management then.
Yeah.
One thing that came up in that conversation, it was obviously related to project management, but sort of on a tangent, so we didn't drill down into it.
Yes.
But we both think it's a very interesting topic, which is leadership and thinking and the sort of mindset needed for leadership. Obviously important in project management.
Yes.
So I thought, well, we both agreed, let's have a conversation where we talk really about leadership, but we'll keep coming back to the project management world. So you mentioned that there's a mindset for leadership that it's not the managerial mindset, or what we might stereotypically think of as managerial. I'm just wondering if you could just to start us off, give a quick summary of this mindset.
Nowadays in the literature, I would say that luckily there is some divided perspective about this leadership or management. And I really like this because in this case we are able to separate them. So one is the, let's call it micromanager, or typically a boss, which is the worst case scenario. We have the manager and then we have the leader. There is a really significant difference between three of them, because a boss, a micromanager, doesn't let you live. He's always on your shoulder, he's looking on your shoulder, he's micromanaging, he or she is micromanaging. You need to report everything what you do, and you can't have ideas. You got the clear instructions and you need to follow it. If you don't follow it, you are in a trouble. But of course, on the other side, if something is wrong, you're gonna be blamed by this person, which is not a good thing, because he gives the instructions. So, and you're gonna be blamed. So this is a really bad idea. The other category is the management, who manages. So it's typically a functional management, and this is I would say that nowadays, knowing what I know, reading many books and research, is that that might be a problem within different companies, that how the promotion happens, it's based on performance. So how you deliver. So therefore, when someone gets promoted, that person is going to focus on the delivery instead of the people, like a leader. So therefore, this person became a functional manager who is interested to deliver, who is interested to execute what is expected by the title, by the department, by the job. That's the number one. And I'm not saying that doing this at all cost, but if someone has a private life issue, needs to go to pick up the kids, no, you can't, because you need to deliver. And this is a really bad situation, because with this, the loyalty that can be killed in an employee. By the leader, he gives the instructions, set up the pathway, and let you live and coach you, because the leader is interested in your development. Because the leader realizes that if you delivers, then the whole team is delivers. If he let you think, he has less job, because you are thinking. You try to solve the problem alone, and if you need a decision, you go there with the STAR methodology: situation, task, action, result. Okay, here is the situation, that's what I'm thinking, what's going to be the result, what should we do? And you just need to pick up which is the best one from all of these. So to be a project manager, just bringing in, now that's a question that which type you are. A project manager who is managing people from the functional perspective as a BA or a developer, or you are leading, that you are giving the instructions but taking care of that. Oh, okay, you need to go. Okay, are you in the timeline? Will you meet with the deadline? Are you able to deliver? Do you need help or anything? No, I'm fine. Okay, let's go. I trust you. So that's it. Why is it important? Because recently I just saw a really good classification about the project manager job. And it says that 30% of a project manager job is managing relationship, 30% is problem solving, 10% budgeting, assessing and documenting. So if you just think 60% is managing relationship and problem solving.
Right.
So how you are able to manage it, if you have a really good emotional intelligence, you are adaptive, you are listening, you are taking care of the other side, not just pushing the project forward, moving.
Would you say that a good functional manager now does need to have the relationship skills? I mean, because I remember also in your thesis, you were talking about how EQ, obviously, since the 90s with Daniel Goleman and all that work, has, it's known to be more important than IQ now. And in a project, you've got resources. And traditionally that was tools, capital, and so on. But now the resources are obviously people as well. So you need to be able to manage people. Do you think being a good functional manager and being all about delivery actually does require you to have mastered these broader skills?
If you wanna succeed, you must pick up. And here comes the person intellectuality.
Right.
If someone is able to realize this, then this person will become a better functional manager with some leadership skill set, or even become a real leader. If there is a higher level who is able to coach this person, what is important. But some functional manager is just pushing with some emotional intelligence impact, because that person realizes that if someone is in a hysterical situation or mood, it's not a good thing if I'm going there and I start to push it. Maybe let's sleep on it, and next day let's listen. So now it's always about the person, that someone is ready to develop. So therefore it's one of the key principles to be a great leader is the curiosity and the continuous learning.
Right.
How can I be better? So you mentioned that, yes, decades ago we had the resources, but the EQ, the emotional intelligence wasn't that important. Yes, but the problems wasn't that complex that nowadays.
Right.
So therefore, to be empathetic and let the people think, it's much more important because of the complexity. So now we are not just thinking locally, we need to think globally as well, and this is the same in the project problems as well.
Right. On the micromanaging end of the spectrum, which sounds like the least desirable of the three categories you mentioned, managers fall into micromanagement, and I can feel myself sometimes as a temptation to fall into that when you feel stressed about the project. Like you're worried about how are we going to get this done. And unless I step in, it's sort of an expression of your own stress, I guess. And what you're doing is putting that onto the team members and making it harder for them to do their best. Yes,
exactly. That's a really hard situation to be a leader, because when you are a leader, you got a title, but to have a title, it's a much bigger responsibility, because you need to take care of that person to deliver. So it's not an exclusive situation that, okay, I'm the leader, I'm the CEO, I'm just sitting, I'm just getting the big bucks, and everybody else is working. No, they are not working for me. I'm working for them. So that's a really big difference what people need to, or leaders, and that's why what I really miss in any company development plan, or even in a personal development plan within a company, that how we are creating more leaders. So okay, here is the promotion, but no one ever tells what does it mean to be a leader. What does it mean to be a leadership position? No one. If you ask a newly appointed manager, sometimes even the head office is not able. Oh, I need to deliver this. Okay, but that's the delivery. What's about? So this one, therefore, to be a leader, it's a lead to serve. And bringing some example from the sports. For example, in a football, if the team success, if the team won, that it's a team success. But if they lose, that's the captain.
Right.
And if you just watch the interviews in this situation, the language, what they and how they use, because you as a leader, you are there for the team. You have to protect them. If there is a credit, give it them, because that's a motivation. If there is a bad things, take it away, because they need to be in a good mood to deliver. They need to feel themselves protected in a safe environment.
Right.
That yes, we are humans. We can make mistakes, but the mistakes are a good lessons for us.
Yep.
Not to be punished.
Uh-huh. Yep.
It's a really bad situation.
It reminds me of the 1 Minute Manager, actually, which I read at your recommendation, where one of the first quotes is, people perform best when they feel good about themselves.
Yes.
So I think that's what you're saying, that you need to make sure that people can feel good about themselves.
Yeah, exactly. I already mentioned it, but Sir Richard Branson, the Virgin Aero Company founder, he said once that your customer doesn't come first. Your people come first. And if you take care of your people, they will take care of your customers. So a happy team member, a happy people, a happy person is always over-delivering because he feels himself or herself trusted. He can work, she can work whenever it suits. Of course, you need to check on in delivery time, deadlines, it's okay, but we are adults. We were hired to do a job. So luckily, where we are working in a project management, we have some day-to-day jobs, but mostly we are working with long deadlines. So it's not a typical operational situation.
Right. Yep.
So therefore, we have some flexibility to be lazy a little bit when I need time for my family or need to be strict and focus on that. But here comes the leader mentality. That was the preparation. To deliver every day the same one, to be consistent and to be sure that we deliver, or just give the trust and be sure that at the end we're gonna be okay.
Right. Something that's relevant these days, I think probably a lot of project managers are thinking about it, with new technologies coming in, new tools, everything's changing, we have to keep learning, is, again, this was in your thesis, about leading by example.
Yes.
So it's one thing to tell, this is how I want it done. It's another thing to, you're actually working alongside the team, doing it.
Yeah.
You're leading by example. So you're showing. But I think it was also mentioned in the literature on that it can be very exhausting, because the leader needs to then, they've got to set the example. It means they've got to be the example to follow, the shining example, and everyone has to emulate that. But how can they always perform at that level when a project manager's job involves lots of things that are quite different from the people in the team? So that approach means you've got to perform at the highest level of all the different tasks in the team, as well as a project manager, and it can be very exhausting. So, but to a degree, you can see why it's true as well. There are other ways of leading where, I mean, it's unavoidable that you're going to be leading teams where they've got skills that you just don't have, especially with technology changing so fast. You might hire someone in because they've got that skill. You've never programmed in that language, or you've never used that tool. How do we navigate these waters as project managers?
In this case, the word it's maybe you are looking for is the adaptation. How you are able to adapt to this environment. You are a human. You don't need to be perfect. You need to show example, yes. But you can be exhausted. You can have private life problem, yes, like everybody else. But if you are able to do that, you say openly that, okay guys, now it's 2 p.m. I need to go because my son has a soccer game and I promise that I'm going to be there. You're going to show an example that family matters.
Right.
But after that, when you're going to send a letter 10 p.m., you are able to highlight it even next day that, okay, I sent it 10 p.m. You don't need to answer, but I had a task, my family. No, I have time.
Right.
So that's another example as well. In this case, you might not be that exhausted
Yeah.
because you are able to navigate.
Right. Yeah.
But you need to set up this really clearly for the team. So if you are able to create an open and fearless communication within your team, where everybody feels safe, then you don't need to play a role. You don't need to be perfect. You are not, when how can I say that? When I lead people and there is a new hire or someone, I always tell that, okay, look, I'm here, but I'm a human. I can make mistakes. I have done, I do, and I will do mistakes. What I really would like to get is feedback. How I'm doing. I'm doing good. Is it okay how I'm explaining something? Is it okay how I'm leading you? Is it okay how I'm helping you develop your skills?
Right.
Because this is the open and fearless communication. He is there to deliver a job or be a better one, and me as a leader, my job is get the best out of that person.
Yeah.
And in this case, here comes again that nowadays any development plan is focusing on the weakness.
Right.
So, and you mentioned that you don't know that coding language. Yes, that as a leader you need to realize, if you have the opportunity, what's the strengths of different people, and giving them that task, give the comfort, they are able to manage it, they are able to do this, and plus ask that what would you like to learn, or telling that, okay, let's focus on your weakness as well. Okay, that's your strengths, it's really good, that's why I hired you, because you are extraordinary, but this job requires something else as well. Okay, how can we do this? Let's figure it out together. Not just giving that, okay, here is the plan and follow it, and at the end of the year I'm going to decide that you meet with the criteria or not.
Yeah.
Let's work it together.
Just something you touched on that I think it's such a big point, that giving feedback.
Yeah.
So sometimes, often, people don't have the words to give the feedback, or they know that something's not quite hitting the spot, but they can't verbalize why, or they don't even realize. If we think of it in this way, people, like, you'll often have managers say, I've got an open door policy. Call me anytime. If you've got an issue, call me. And a lot of managers, you'll read interviews and so on, or read books that they've written.
Yeah.
No one ever calls them.
Yeah.
No one ever walks into the office with the open door to give some feedback. They just don't. But it's not that people are. It doesn't mean that everything's perfect.
Yep.
It doesn't mean that people don't have needs that aren't being met. What I'm getting to is, I think what that means is, it's not enough for a leader or manager to say, give me the feedback. They need to have the insight to be able to work it out themselves. You know, like the way their team member reacts, the body language, and so on. Like it can't be, we need them to give. They didn't tell me anything was wrong. Well, it's my job to be able to, even though I wasn't told, somehow observe. How do you do that? That's really hard, because otherwise you wouldn't have so many managers saying, I've got an open door policy, or call me anytime. Clearly people, like managers, they do feel that if I'm not told about it, then I won't know. But it seems like as managers we're expected to know, even if we're not told. Yeah,
here comes again that the lead by example. So when you have a team, or when I had a team, setting up one-on-one meeting fortnightly, it's a critical situation. During this one-on-one fortnightly, you don't talk about the daily issues. That's why you have the daily stand-up or the team meetings.
Right.
What is the topic is that how you or the other person is able to work together. So, and in this case, you need to give some self-critic as well. That, okay, look, do you remember in last time, maybe I was a little bit harsh. How did you feel about that? Please give me, because I don't want to be. I want to have a good relationship. So if you are strong with yourself, you can get the feedback. Because in this case, and the other thing, what you need to highlight is that when something is wrong, solve it immediately, but focus on the lesson, not on the problem, not on the person.
Okay. Yeah.
When you give the feedback, just mention that, oh, do you remember we did this one? Since then, I can see that you are really trying, it's really good. Do it, please continue. Or here is another thing, you were extraordinary and something. So you have the opportunity to give positive feedbacks or even negative as well. What is really important, I think, is that you need to explain that, even for me as well, that because English is not my first language, and therefore you don't need to wrap your message, because in this case the meaning can be lost.
Yep.
So just tell it that, look, it's much easier, okay? We are here to grow together. I'm giving you feedback, you are giving me. Don't wait for the yearly performance review. That's the worst thing.
Yep.
If something is wrong, step in, go there, or even if you just walk around. A really good example for that, who lived that as a principal, a CEO in Hungary, the third biggest bank CEO, when I worked there, and I was in a project next to my BAU work, and usually 7 p.m. he walked around.
Okay.
And he came there and asked that, what do you do here?
Right.
You should go home and you should rest. Because I worked in investments, so be focused. It's really important, because one mistake can cause millions of dollars damage, loss, reputation damage, or anything.
Right.
So therefore, a good rest, it's important.
Right.
So he came and asked that, what do you do? And I wasn't the only one. I know that the next room and the further rooms, there was other people who were assigned to that project, and he went there. And during that 1 year, I can say that minimum 2 or 3 times per week, he came in and asked.
Wow, right.
And that's it, how you show it. Just because someone get the big bucks, it's not a privilege situation. That's a hard thing, that how you are able to find the balance to putting the team first, even above your job.
Right. Yeah. So he's being compassionate, but there's also a practical reason as well. Not to take away from his care and concern.
Exactly.
But if you're tired, you're going to make mistakes.
Yes.
And that could cost the bank.
Yeah, exactly. But here comes the coaching part. So he's not just saying that go home and I don't want to see you. He's explaining and you are able to learn.
Right.
So if you teach it something, just tell it, because this is an uncommon situation, is that if something is wrong, is that leaders forget to look inside. Why is it happen? So 99% is jump on immediately on the person. But there are usually 2 types of error. One is a process, due to a process, or the second due to the training.
Right.
So first of all, if there is an error, just start to think that, okay, in a different process, this problem should appear, and you are realizing that, oopsie, the system is not communicating. Of course, this problem is appears, and how he tried to solve it, that's how he mentioned, but that's his try. But it's not working. Of course, it's a problem, but it's not the person problem, because that person tried to solve something. Or the other problem is, as I mentioned, the training. What I trained or said or showed, it was okay, it was enough. Did the message go through? Was I understandable? And then you are able to ask, and when you try to make the root case analysis, sooner or later you're going to realize which one is the problem.
You mentioned in the one-on-one, you'd be saying, you're not just saying, well, give me feedback, is there anything wrong? Obviously they'll say, no, it's all good. But if you can say, in meeting X, when I explained this, did it make sense? Or when I made this comment, how did you feel? That requires some reflection on yourself to raise that as an example and then trigger it, and also say, well, this is open slather. Because the reason you're raising it is maybe something didn't go quite so well, and that's why you're asking them.
In this case, sometimes as an employee, you need to take a risk, and I just did it recently because my leader, he set up a fortnightly meeting, which is a really good one-on-one meeting. I really appreciate that one. And he asked me that how I am. And I was really thinking, and luckily he realized, and he told me that, Csaba, shoot. And I said that I don't really feel myself comfortable what I'm doing. And why? Explain. And I did it. So when you say something as an employee, not just say it, or even as a leader, not just say it, explain it, give example, to make it understandable. What's your problem? Use simple language, simple English, simple examples, because that's the best. And I did it, and 2 days later he called me and said that I was thinking, and yeah, I can understand, so let's figure it out, how can we solve it together. He started to think, so we're gonna have another session. And he promised that he started to write a list, how can we, and I need to write a list as well, how we are able to work together, because I feel myself comfortable, and his job makes me comfortable and happy.
Right. He sees that that's his job.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. So now but I raised it. I delivered.
Yeah.
So it was out of question, but the situation, the environment, everything else, I just raised it that okay, I'm delivering that, but I don't feel 100%. So sorry for that. And okay. Now let's talk. Let's do it. Let's solve it.
Right. So you took the risk in that case.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, but you need time.
Yeah.
From an employee perspective, to figure it out, that person management style, how that person speak during a team meeting,
right.
How that person shares information, how that person interact with other team members, or even when this one-on-one meeting invitation landed in my box, a gossip, or immediately, oh guys, did you get it as well? And you can see that, it's not just me, it's for everyone.
Right.
So he tries.
Yeah.
He's trying. So you are able to get inputs.
Yeah.
And based on that, and of course it wasn't the first one. So I had a couple of where I tried to analyze it, and then okay, now let's see it.
Right, I see. So
yeah. But if I'm gonna be fired because I am honest, sorry for that, but in this case it's not my loss, it's a company loss.
Yeah.
Because firing someone, to be honest, in a situation, because within the company, within a team, it's like your family, in like some American movies that, here is my work wife. Yes, because you spend a lot of time together.
Right.
So
fair enough.
You can trust it. So therefore, what can you do?
Yeah. Yeah, I wanted to get onto some examples, and you've already given a couple of great examples. So the CEO of Hungary's third largest bank at the time when you were there, and then a current example. Can you give any other examples? Because you mentioned in our last conversation that you used to be an Olympic level swimmer, professional swimmer. I imagine that the coaches that they have must use some leadership skills. Maybe they don't have formal leadership training like we think of in a project management sense, but they must lead in some way.
Yeah, exactly. But to be a swimmer and to be a swim coach, it's quite challenging, because the swimming, it's a really lonely sport. Just imagine that you are doing laps in the water alone. You can't talk like during a run.
Right.
If you ask something, the answer from the water is blah blah blah. It's always the same. So it's mentally, it's really difficult. So now there I was singing songs, I made poems, or sometimes I just swear because my coach set up a really impossible time limit to deliver during a series, and I was just I was really angry, and that was my motivation. But I was lucky enough to be in the team of Tamás Szécsi. He's called as the swimming pope.
Right.
And what is funny about him, that originally he was a sportsman, he was a weightlifter. but he became a swimming coach. And during the 70s, 80s, 90s, he delivered 8 Olympic gold.
Wow.
And coming from the Soviet Union, Hungary, it's a really small country, 10 million people, that's the population. While US has 250, 300 million people.
Yeah.
So if we try to make a comparison that how many gold medal or Olympic medal a nation has comparing to the population, Hungary is really, really in the top.
Right.
Because of the small population.
Yeah.
So he was that person that when there was a time when I said that okay, now it's enough, it's too much. It was maybe hormones as well. I was 14, 15 years old, so maybe it's okay, let's look at the girls, let's have a girlfriend. My friends, they are going out, they are going to the club, let's go, but as a swimmer, you can't do this because you have a training in the morning, 6 a.m. Right. If you don't go to sleep 8 p.m., you're going to be that tired next day and you are done. Right. You're going to sink like a Titanic. and one day during the training session, I just stopped. I didn't started the new series. And he came and asked, and what's the problem? And I said that, sorry, coach, I'm done. I don't feel the motivation. I can't. It's too much. I had results, but it's not like the Premier League, for example, that you are playing in a soccer team and you have a game in every week. No, we have only one main competition per year. Luckily, if you are lucky, you can have 2. Right. But everything else is about training, which has an advantage because you're gonna be a good-looking man. But otherwise, it's just killing you because it's so strict. You need to be in the swimming pool from this to that. You have a land training. Then you need to go to school. Then go back to the swimming pool. It kills you. If there is no joy, then you are done mentally. And he let me. He wasn't angry. That was good because and I said it's done. I want to finish. I don't want to come. And he grabbed me. He said that okay, now let's go have a shower, dress up, and come back. And he spent 4 hours with me just to talk, and not next to each other, which is a really important situation. And then he told me that okay, I'm gonna call your mom. And I'm going to tell that you got 1 week off. You can go wherever you want. You can do whatever you want. 1 week later, come back, and we're going to have exactly the same conversation. How you feel and everything. I went. I really enjoyed it. And
you enjoyed your week off?
Yes, of course, right. Because I was free. I can do whatever you want. I want. No. I had to go to school. Okay. But I didn't have to woke up 4 a.m. Yeah. I didn't have to go. It was really good. And 1 week later, I just went back and I went back. It's not just the conversation. Because of that feeling, it was good, yeah. But, okay, the swimming is lonely in the water, but you have teammates. And they are struggling also. And I can tell that my friends, my close friends, are still from that area.
Right.
So he helped me that, okay, here is it. He didn't push me.
Right.
So it's just like in a workplace that if someone is struggling, just grab some task, take it away from that person, right. Delegate, ask the help, ask the team help. Right. And that person can have a breath. Right. Oh, okay, that's good. Oh, it's really good or something. So he helped me with this one. I went back. It was hard, but I felt that because I had the talent, I would say that, yes, that was my place.
Right.
So it was really, really good for me. And then sometimes I had the feeling as well that I wanna quit. And especially during the summer break when we had the main competition. Okay, there is 4 weeks. Just going back, oh, I don't want to go back. Oh, I need to go. All right, okay, let's go back and start this process again. That's why, for example, as Michael Phelps, he stopped for 2 years.
Right.
Or Caleb Dressel, he stopped also, but he's a sprinter. He won 2, 3, 4 gold medals when he said that, okay, now it's enough. And 1 year later, he went back. That he just needed some mental fresh, because it's really killing you. It's the same in the workplace as well. It's a career break. It's called.
That 4-hour talk that he had with you, I imagine that wasn't telling you off or reprimanding you. It was, I guess, it was talking about your strengths, was it, or was he just letting you talk?
It was
drawing you out.
Look. That swimming, if someone does a sport in a very high level, then that person is gonna spend much more time in the gym and in the sport complex than home.
Right.
So they became like a second dad.
Right.
And if you are talented, you're gonna be in front of everyone. Therefore, the coach can see you.
Right.
So they can know you. And in a sport, they must read your movements, your style. So in a swimming, for example, in the freestyle, it really matters how you execute a movement.
Right.
And this is a sign that now you are tired, you are really tired, you are focusing, or you are not focusing, or you are somewhere else. So that these are really small feedbacks.
Right.
This is the same to be a leader in a corporate environment as well. How the people react. So for example, you have a good delivery guy who always have good feedbacks or questions and really helpful, and suddenly became silent.
Right.
That's a sign that, wait, what's happening?
Yep.
And even if you poke with a question, just giving 1 or 2 words instead of real thoughts.
You were saying earlier on about giving people freedom to think. Otherwise, they can't come up with ideas. If you're micromanaging them, you're suffocating them. And it sort of sounds like, on the surface, that you're just letting them go off and do their thing, and then you get to sit back. But from what you've just explained, it sounds like that's when your work actually starts, because you're going to be observing everybody.
Yeah.
And if you've got a team of 6 or 7 people, observing everybody that carefully is a lot of effort.
Yes.
You need complete attention.
Yeah. You need to be there while you are not there. So that's the open office. Okay. If you say, oh, here is my office, if you have problem, just come in. As a leader, you need to be proactive. You need to go there and ask, hey, how is it going? It's okay? Yeah, do you need help? No? Okay. Even if it's a daily one. But when I'm saying that you are giving freedom, it doesn't mean that, okay, here is your job, it's a 1 sentence, do whatever you want. No, just sit down, talk about the problems, tell what's your expectation, but how it's delivered, how it's executed, now that's where you are able to give the freedom.
Right.
So we are here at the start point. There is an agreed, like in the project. So there is an agreed scope. As a leader, that's your expectation. That's what you would like to get.
Which might be a sprint goal for 2 weeks, or it could be...
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And there is, let's say, 2 ways. Your way and your employee way.
Right.
Now, this is where you are able to give freedom. And this is where you are able to give some instructions. That, okay, I would like to see X, Y, Z. Maybe it's a table format, but I haven't decided. Oh, look for us. Look on the internet. There might be some ideas. These are freedom.
Yeah.
These are freedom.
Yeah.
It doesn't cost you, but it gives trust. It sends signals.
Yeah. Of course, we don't like to talk about negatives, but do you have any examples of where some of these things weren't done and what happened?
It's when the person who been promoted, it's really a self-manager. So in this case, that person is not interested in the team. That person is interested to selling himself or herself to the higher level to get promoted. So in this case, there is, as a team member, you can be flexible, you can adapt.
Right.
But there is no way that you are able to deliver something. Or the other side is that if someone, how can I say, has a burnout or just doesn't like that job, he was assigned, so it's a force dedication to the project. Or usually what happens is that, but here again that the leader should step in, that when someone is overloaded. In this case, it's just, okay, oh, here is another one. Oh my God, okay, which one should be my priority? A good leader sit down and say, okay, now let's leave it. I'm going to manage it with the focus on this one. But some manager, okay, here is it and do and leave it alone. And someone working 12, 14 hours per day just to deliver.
Right. Obviously, one-on-ones help with that kind of thing. If someone's not having one-on-ones with their manager, how can they, well, is it possible for the manager to observe? Because, I mean, we can't, one-on-ones are one way to go. They're a great tool. I mean, I definitely am a big advocate of one-on-ones, but I'm not going to say that's the only way. How does a manager know if they're not having one-on-ones? And even having one-on-ones is no guarantee.
Let's put it like a project plan, okay? Let's say the one-on-ones like a milestones, okay? But between these milestones, you still have opportunities to get feedback. Mm-hmm. If you see something is wrong, or you realize is that something is really extraordinary, or you know something, you still have the option to say that, hey, do you have 15 minutes? Let's grab a coffee. And what is really important in these sessions is that go and leave the office. Mm-hmm. Don't do it in the work environment. Mm. Let's go find a semi-natural, even in the lobby, it's still better, over a coffee, or go into the next building to have a coffee or something. But even between the one-on-ones, you still have the opportunity to gather feedback or provide feedback, or just say that, okay, I'm here, or do something. Mm-hmm. So you don't need to wait regular meetings till the regular fortnightly. No, that is a really good checkpoint, like as I said, in the milestones. Yeah. Between them, you still have lots of opportunities. Mm-hmm. A fortnightly meeting, between them there is 9 working days. Right. Let's say one morning, one afternoon, it's 18 opportunities.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. As long as you're being observant.
If you are really interested in your team, then yes.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that the sort of leadership qualities you're talking about are becoming more common?
Yep.
Managers are, anyone in a leadership or quasi-leadership or managerial position, project managers are keen to get better and adopt new ideas?
The problem with the project, I'm not saying problem, let's say it's challenges, is that they have to manage, they don't have a fixed team.
Right.
So therefore, knowing the team, picking up really quickly the personalities, the situations and the styles, it's critical. It's really, really critical.
Yeah.
And to adapt the management style to the team or to an individual, and sometimes it's 2 different styles, that's on the project manager.
Right.
So therefore, that's a really critical part, how you are able to, it's like a stakeholder analysis. It's your team analysis.
If you've got direct reports, one-on-ones are practical. But the thing is, just what you mentioned then, because you're managing a project with lots of people who are allocated just a percentage of their time, it's impossible to have one-on-ones with everybody.
It depends how big your team, how many projects do you have.
Yeah.
But in this case, you still can have this 15 minutes over a coffee.
Yeah.
I know it's quite hard. I'm not saying so. I was a bad guy because I tried not to cancel a one-on-one because it's a message that, sorry, something is more important than you.
Right.
But sometimes I had to.
Yeah.
When, for example, the big bosses from Germany or Italy, they were here. I can't. But I tried to do 24 hours later, or even just a different time, morning or in the afternoon, change, not cancel, just reschedule it.
Sure. Yeah.
But when you have 3 different projects and you have maybe 3 different team, you still can have opportunities. It's how you build up your team. Here comes again that serve to lead.
Right.
So if you have documentation task, you can reschedule it after the work, and that time what you would dedicate, that 1 hour to that documentation, you can say that, I'm going to do 2 20 minutes with 2 different team members. It's hard, it requires. So that's why I'm saying that to be a leader, it's a really big responsibility. It's not a privilege.
So using that precious face time during the working hours and the tasks that don't need face time, unfortunately, you have to put that to after working hours.
Exactly. Taking care of the team, customer doesn't come first.
Got it. So it sounds like a lot of these things, I mean, even when you mentioned your coach, Tomasechi, he's almost like a dad, like he has to be, because he's spending so much time there. A lot of what we've been talking about applies not just as a project manager, but as a parent, as a friend, in all kinds of situations.
Yes. So that's the leader job, to get the best of you, and it's not just to be a better worker, because all of these things what can be coached, skills you are picking up because you have a good leader, it's gonna impact on your private life as well. First of all, why? Because you're gonna be much more balanced. So if your leader creates an open, a safe environment, you're not gonna be stressed, because you know that they trust you. You are able to go to see your son's soccer game because you know that you have the trust that you will deliver. Everybody knows it. But you don't play it out. You must deliver. You must deliver, because that's the worst thing. If you let someone down, that you are saying that I'm gonna do it and then you don't do it. If you gave your words that, okay, sorry, now I need to do, but tomorrow morning it's gonna be in your mailbox.
Oh, I see. Right. The delivery has to be there still.
Yes, exactly. So keep your words. Even if you can't, because you underestimated the job or something, just send that, okay, this is as far as I was able to go, please review it. Sorry for that, I underestimated. But at least you are sending something. You show it that you tried as much as you can.
Before we turned on the camera, we were talking about different military examples. And obviously in those kind of scenarios, there's a lot at stake. And a lot of these things, the importance just goes up orders of magnitude. In financial services, or anything other than that, almost. Well, I guess the medical profession, it's also saving lives. But when you don't have that level of what's at stake, it's just a different environment. And I think maybe just the question of motivating people is it's in a different. I mean, the importance. It takes more insight, I think, to explain the importance of things to the team. I think I'm getting into this domain of the whole question of motivation, I suppose. So, I remember a phrase that any fool can explain why heart surgery is important. You can motivate people because you know what the outcome is. But if it's something like, I don't know, balancing a ledger or making sure this software is bug free, it doesn't quite have the same impact. Or as the military examples we were talking about, how do you deal with that? Like, how do we just assume that people know this is important and they're going to focus on it? I think a lot of people are already motivated, and you just need to get out of the way and not demotivate people, because people choose their career, they choose a job. I mean, they must have chosen it for a reason. But yeah, do you have anything to share on this question of motivation and explaining why things are important?
Yeah, but I wouldn't come only from the motivation view. Motivation, it's an important thing to explain, to set up the long-term goal, to tell what's your position in this situation or in this progress. It helps a lot. But if your environment, it's a happy environment, you really don't need extra motivation because the person is happy.
Right.
So for example, if you have a weekly really short team building, let's call it, it's a quiz show and everybody has to do a quiz, so it's a weekly rotation, and you set up a scoring system, everybody is going to be excited that the Friday is coming, it's really good. You are able to build a team spirit. And if you have really good team spirit, you don't really need to put too much effort in a motivation because everybody is in the team, they are happy, they are safe, they know that you as a leader protecting their back, so you are there for them. Therefore, they are. I'm not saying they are happy to do this, but again, they are delivering without any extra motivational speech.
If people are always asking themselves, why am I doing this? Or if they're asking you as a manager, why am I doing this? Or why is this important? Then there's something very wrong. You're saying you rarely get to that point.
Yeah, exactly. But that's why I'm saying that if someone starts asking this, why am I doing this? That here comes again that the two type of problems, process or a training. So in this case, at the beginning, when you explained what's the person position, it's maybe that person forget it. So let's do a refresher or do a root case. Okay, why do you ask it? You are not happy. You don't like this job. You want to change it. You would like to change your career. For example, someone is a business analyst and wants to be a project manager or a scrum master. Something you don't know. Some excitement, because even if you like it can be really boring sooner or later or frustrated. So for example, a business analyst, it's really good, or a project manager, really good to managing people, but you still have the boring documentation. What you need to do, you must do. Otherwise it's just it's out of the window, everything. So it's totally okay if sometimes people have burnout, smaller, bigger one. Someone just takes 1 or 2 days off as a sick leave or just travel somewhere. That's why important to break this weekly task, for example, with this really small team building actions, or even in every month, or you celebrate together as a birthday, or someone has some achievement or something like that. There are so many things you are able to bring it up. A good love within a team, it's priceless. Making joke, it's all right. And if you are the target as a leader of the joke, sorry, again, just because you are a leader, it's not a privilege. You are still a member of a team. Your position matters when the decision is required, but otherwise you are part of the team.
Right. I read somewhere by some renowned leader that his observation of the best leaders in his profession were those who created a family environment amongst their team.
Yes.
So I think sounds like that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
At some points there are decisions to be made, and then obviously you've got the title, you've got the badge, that's your job. Even that can be done in many different ways. It might be just it's on you to make that decision in that moment because there's no time, or you could do it in a democratic way, consultative way, if there is time for that.
Yeah, exactly.
But between those decisions, there's this task of creating a happy family type environment, if you can.
Yes. And everything starts from the top. So that's why it's really important what's the corporate culture, what's the value, because all of them is being set up by the chief to the senior executives, and they should follow it. They should live these values and everything. and because this is believed by the lower levels. But what is really challenging that between the chief and between the execution, there is a level. It's called, or some people or many people, depends on the corporate structure, it's called the frozen management.
Right.
And it means that why it's frozen? Because they are frozen in a situation they are able to control and manage. So their adaptation skill, their motivation, their open-minded mentality, it's not really there because they are afraid of changes.
Okay, right.
So therefore they are just, frozen in time.
Right.
A frozen management. And that's what can kill people and organization. That the chief level wants to do something, here is a big motivational, here is the words, here is the values, let's do it together, they live it.
Yeah.
The lowest level, okay, let's do it, it's really interesting, let's change, we transform the bank, 5 years time we're gonna have a really good bank, no manual things, only just automation, it's really good. But there is someone who is just, it's not that good, no, believe me, the systems, it's not, the Excel, that's the best one, because they are afraid of many things.
And is that caused by the upper management not doing a good enough job of bringing this middle frozen layer on the journey?
No. It depends on many things. One is that someone is really good as a functional manager, and therefore the higher level is interested in the delivery, in the functional things. Or that person, this frozen manager, it's really good in the self-management, the self-marketing.
Okay. Yeah.
So therefore, if it's hidden, the problem is hidden, you are not able to see it.
Yeah.
You might have some signs that you have a head off, and let's say that within a year that half of the team members are replaced.
Right. Yeah.
Or switched because they are leaving because of the poisonous environment.
Yeah. Also on the question of the culture that you were saying at the very top, regardless of the culture of the whole company, I mean, I've been in companies where different teams within that company, they have their own culture.
Yeah.
And I mean, they might all have a great culture, but they're all so different. Or there might be some that it's not so pleasant to be in that team. Others, it's amazing to be in that team. And that could be part of their responsibilities and the functions of that team. But they're all in the same company.
Yes.
They've all got the same salary structure. They're all under the same CEO. Maybe they're even in the same division. So it seems as if the project manager level or the middle management level has a lot of leeway.
Yeah.
They can create their own environment in their immediate surroundings within limits.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, it happens that, and to be this colorful, it has an advantage and disadvantage. So you mentioned that some team has a pretty good one, someone is not that good, or some team, just avoid it at any cost. Yeah, but all of them is created by someone.
Right.
So here comes the leader again, the person who is in charge.
Yeah.
How that environment is created.
Yeah.
So therefore, to have many different culture within even a department, this can be a disadvantage because in this case the head of has to adapt so many different culture if he is able to.
Right.
But what's the advantage that these people, to be colorful, it means that different thinking, different solutions, opportunities, different delivery, different mood, many things. So just because something is different, it doesn't mean that it's bad.
Right. Yeah.
But there can be some downs, not just ups.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. The one organization that's written a lot about this is Gallup.
Yeah.
The Gallup organization. I'm a big fan of them. And they actually talk about how the manager or the middle manager, it's sort of like middle manager, the word is also used it's sort of a grey sense. Like you're neither delivering and you're not a very senior leader, you're just a middle manager and you're managing. It's what they're saying is that's sort of denigrating the importance of the role of the middle manager because they're the ones who've got people who are doing the work at the coalface reporting to them. They're the ones who are dealing with the people who are actually delivering day to day. And the importance of their role is, I mean, in a way, you could almost say it's the most important role.
Yeah, exactly. So it doesn't matter that you are just a team leader.
Yeah.
You are a manager, senior manager, director, head of. You are responsible for something, for people, for humans. So, and with this Gallup, and if someone is a fan of it, they are just downgrading the manager. Okay, you can be a functional manager, you need to deliver, yes, but you are responsible for the person who is delivering.
Right, I see. Yeah.
So that's a totally different mindset, and that's what should be implemented. And that's, here comes again that if you think back, because I can tell that in my current company, we don't have manager training.
Right.
Just try to figure it out, that if someone is going to be promoted, does that person get any manager?
Yeah.
They can, if someone is in a really high level, right. There is, because they are spending money on this one, okay. But in the lower one, so there is a really good phrase, I don't know who said that, how can you recognize a leader? A real leader create more leaders.
Right.
And these more leaders, they can land in really high level job because of these leadership skills. So why is it important? And let me give you a real life example. Not a real life example. It's gonna be really funny for you. But nowadays I just started to watch a series. And it's a Ted Lasso.
Okay.
It's about the American football coach went to England to coach a Premier League team. But the American football and the soccer, it's two different things.
Oh, yeah.
He has no idea, or really, it's a quite funny story. But if you start to watch from the leadership position, that he arrives as a head coach, he has a support coach, and he has a boss whose plan is to destroy the club, so that boss is working against him.
Right.
And within the team, there is a big face guy, there is an old guy who tried to be someone. So how all of this situation is managed from the leadership perspective, it's still quite a funny stories, but I would say that there is a good lesson.
Right.
So it's a good one. I recommend that.
So it's in how does he navigate these, and
what he does, how he act, what he says. Because as a leader, you don't need to act to everything.
Right.
You need to decide, or you need to leave something to the team.
Right.
To solve it between them, because you have a title, they would think that you come in and you solve it by force.
Right.
By your title, but no, you just let them. You can explain, and that's it. But if you can, then just watch it. This Ted Lasso. That's a good one.
Yeah, I've heard of it from others talking about that. I just want to ask. Oh, sorry. Two things. Real leaders create more leaders. That's amazing. So, as a project manager, even if there's someone who he's in your team for, or she's in your team for some particular item, they're working on 2 other projects as well, we should still, I don't know if we should, are you saying, does that phrase, which makes a lot of sense, but let's think about what does it really mean?
Yeah.
We should be helping them to become more autonomous, more independent. I mean, they might not want to become a project manager. Are we helping them, when we say create more leaders, are we helping them lead themselves so that they can make better decisions without your guidance?
Yeah. You are still, as a project manager, as a leader, your job is still to coach, to develop.
Right.
So someone is dedicated to the project based on some certain skills. So write a BRD. Okay. That person is able to do that. But your job is still to get the best out of that person. So how you are able to do that?
Right.
How you are able to get the best result? So even if it's a 2 weeks program, you are still have 2 or 3 sessions to see that, okay, how it goes, do you have any problem, how can we work, that's good, perfect, it's all right.
Yeah.
But apart from the delivery, you are still responsible for someone.
Yeah.
And you still can give some lessons or even just showing yourself to the rest of the team.
Yeah.
That's a lesson to that person as well.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, because when we think about the people who've influenced us, when we look back, they may not have actually done that much, and they might be surprised that how much they influenced you when you look back.
I still follow an advice. I'm not going to tell what was the advice from my first job. My first job was a treasury back office back in the ages when the euro was only just on the account as a paper.
Right.
So it's really old. And this one is coming from the treasury leader. So it's a totally different department. But that person as a treasury leader, half of his eyes was on us because we were the back office. So if something is wrong here, it has an impact on the dealing side as well.
Right.
And he was asking and everything. And one day I went to him for an advice. My first job. So I was really shocked. I was really shaking that, oh my God, what should I... You know, it's the typical junior situation. And I went there, well, okay, let's go. Grab a cafe. And now that's where I learned that if someone approaches you, go to a natural pace. Okay, let's grab a coffee. And I said that, no, I don't drink. I don't care. You're going to drink a Coke or a tea or a milk that I really remember for everything.
Wow, right.
And we went down. It was in the lobby, so it wasn't so far, but it's still not in the workplace.
Yeah.
And okay, shoot. And he told me face to face, frankly, no wrapping, no gift, just tell me. I told him, and he took it seriously.
Right.
So that's where you can see that even I was a junior,
Yeah.
he already had 20 years work experience,
Yeah.
but he allocated time. So this is a really good sign. And he took me seriously, and he gave me real advice. And I'm still following them in a similar certain situation.
Wow. That's
good.
A great story. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah. And based on that, my advice for many people would be that, and this is a quote again. I really like these quotes. Maybe you recognize. Sure. They are saying that it coming from Nelson Mandela. Is that be the senior you needed when you were a junior.
Okay, right. That sounds great. Right.
Yeah, because in this case, you can act. You can create more leaders. So be the senior you needed when you were the junior.
Right.
And it's the same in the family. You teach your kids.
Yeah.
You teach your team members.
Sometimes it helps to remember how we were when we were junior and think, what did I lack then? Because once you're a bit more senior as a project manager, by then you're so consumed with your daily responsibilities that you forget what the experience was like for them, which wasn't actually that long ago.
Yeah.
It helps to put yourself back into your own shoes back then, and then you're automatically in the shoes of the team members.
Yeah, exactly. So just a really good example for this metaphor that we forget where we come from. One of my former classmate, is working for a Hungarian big bank. And we are connected on LinkedIn. Can I say LinkedIn? Yeah, we connected on LinkedIn. And she usually likes photos where the deputy CEO posts that he visited XYZ branches and he sit like a cashier, he sit like a banker, like a loan administrator.
Wow.
So he goes down to the branches to collect real life first-hand experiences.
Right.
So now that's what many high-level seniors or executives forget.
Right.
That everybody started somewhere.
Yeah.
We weren't born that, oh, I'm a genius.
Mm-hmm.
Albert Einstein weren't born with the relative thinking or anything. So you need to progress.
Yeah.
But you should never forget where you come from.
No, that's great.
And it's really, really important that you always look back, always give back. And that's why I really love that Nelson Mandela quote, that be the senior who you needed when you were a junior.
Right.
Because in this case you are able to give back. It's a really good one. I really love that.
Can I ask, probably as a closing question, as a project manager or any kind of leader, but project manager in particular, how do you check in on yourself on how you're going on this journey?
It's really good that higher blood sugar, higher blood pressure, do you have a heart attack or not, or a stroke? But no, otherwise is that how you can check that you are on a correct path is that people is coming to you. People like to be with you. People asking you to give opinion or feedback. You can feel that they are honest. They are not hiding, for example. And it's an indirect channel, but they recommend you that, oh, he's a good leader. So, or you are just hearing back even from your leader that, oh, you have a pretty good renommé or reputation over other team members or other workers as well.
Right.
And you're gonna realize exactly the same, knowing that you have boys, that what you try to do here in the workplace, you try to do at home as well.
Right.
So you are not just making your son a good behavior boys. You are coaching them for the life. Just to think that, okay, now that's it. How would you do that? Okay, now let's go together. Or even you are just asking them, if you can, about the work problem. That, oh, you see, now that's what I'm dealing. Would you like to help me? And they might be able to help you. So the coaching, if you do this, if you implement this in your mindset, it doesn't matter where you are.
Right.
Even with your friends as well.
So what you're saying is you can't really check in on yourself. You're getting feedback from the outside world in one way or another.
Yeah.
If you're sensitive, if your ears are open, you're going to hear it in one way or another.
Yeah, you can realize it. Yes.
Right.
Yeah, it's not going to happen like this, so one moment to another one, but you're going to see it in the longer term that, oh, everything is going well.
Yeah.
Everybody is smiling, everybody is so good, everybody is so excited for this team building activity. That's good, because they enjoy it. They can see that you are taking care of them. They are coming to you. When you say that, okay, my office is open, come in, they will come in.
Right. Thank you.
It's not just an open phase, because usually it's an open phase. My office is open, come in.
Right. Gotcha.
Yeah.
No, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Harcz.
Oh, thank you for the opportunity.
Much appreciated.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks.